Here's a brief demonstration on how to create an underpainting using spike oil, burnt umber, burnt sienna, ultramarine blue, 2 hog bristle brushes, and a flathead brush. I prefer to add my darkest values in first, so I'm using a mixture of ultramarine blue and burnt umber with a very small amount of spike oil. The spike oil is doing the same job that a solvent would typically do in thinning the paint down and creating a very quick drying layer. You need this to be a quick drying layer because you're going to come over the top of it with a fatter layer next in order to help the oil paints bind together correctly. Now I am coming in with burnt umber and burnt sienna mixed together. This obviously is a much warmer color, and this is also representing my medium values. This is where the sun is shining and reflecting and bouncing off of the objects in the painting, so it helps me to establish warmth underneath, so that will bleed through to the upper layers. You'll notice that around this point I start adding titanium white into the mixtures. That's going to create a more opaque color, and within the ultramarine and burnt umber, it's creating these very grade cooled values. Something else worth noting is that I'm not being overly specific with my paint brush work. I'm not establishing intricate details in any capacity. I'm just establishing value ranges, much like we discussed in the last video in blocking in basic shadow shapes. And because I'm not being overly specific with details, this is actually keeping the edges of the figure quite soft and blended into the background. This will actually serve me quite well later because I want the figure to look as though she's emerging from the background rather than her being cut and pasted into the space. This underpainting will now dry overnight as I prepare for the next layer of paint.